So good, I think still good morning to everybody, and thank you to have joined the pilot session on renewable energy generation. I am Philippe Schild, working in DG Research and Innovation in the Clean Energy Transition Unit, and I will be moderating your session with my colleague from DG Klima, Philip Hawkins. So I will first give you a very brief overview on the policy context, and then we will move to the presentation, the pitch of 3 projects, as you can see in on the screen. We'll go in the same order of the presentation, and after the presentations, we will start a Q&A session based on Slido. So meanwhile, you can, during the presentation, start already typing your question on Slido, and we will start from that. So without further ado, on the policy context, renewable energy is quite a core technologies to replace and substitute carbon from fossil origin in the power, heating and cooling, transportation, even agriculture and industry economic sectors. We do expect that one of the benefits they will be to create more jobs than the fossil fuel value chain. And as you know, in May 2020, the Commission launched a Repower EU plan to answer the energy crisis that we are facing. And a core pillar of this plan is the acceleration of the transition to a clean energy in Europe. And we're in fact suggesting and proposing that the current target of the Renewable Energy Directive goes from 40% to 45%. And that would bring the total renewable energy capacity in the EU of 1,236 gigawatt by 2030. So we have a major uptake of renewable energy to do if we want to achieve this objective. On top of that, you probably have heard that we have published a Green Deal industrial plan that is aiming to provide a supportive environment for the scale-up of the EU manufacturing capacity for net zero technologies and their products. In fact, the 3 projects you are going to hear today are from Horizon 2020. And there, we, in the challenge of secure clean energy efficiency, provided almost 5 billion to 1,500 projects. And there, this project covered a very broad line of renewable energy solutions from both the energy generation and energy use also. What is worth sort of highlighting is that a third of the participants of those projects were in innovation actions, which means that we were already shifting and pushing to get closer to deployment stage. As you have heard previously, the Innovation Fund is one of the world's largest funding programs for demonstration of innovative low-carbon technologies. It will provide about 38 to 40 billions for the next up to 2030. As it was said, the currently open third large-scale call is focused on the objectives of the Repower EU plan and to increase with an increased budget of 3 billion. And there is especially 3 dedicated topics for it, one of which is innovative clean technology manufacturing. And the core is to focus on the construction of new manufacturing facilities and the operation to produce specific components for renewable energy installation in the PV, CSP, and onshore and offshore wind power, solar thermal, and other renewable, including the grid connection. For your information, the topic also covers heat pumps. So with this brief introduction, I like, without further ado, to call on the first speaker, Paul Stassen, to present the project BIPV Boost, and how good this project will be for the Innovation Fund. Paul, the floor is yours. You are still okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Paul Stassen. I'm the director of Tulips and BIPV World. And in the daily life, I'm every day involved in practical energy transition projects and innovation. We built on-roof solar. We built facades, as you see in the right top of this picture. And every day we're involved in energy transition and dealing with buildings and the building industry. I heard that the Innovation Fund is likely always dealing with big projects and building factories. And basically what we're aiming to do is to build a machine for technology transfer and for an efficient digital process to bring innovation, building integrated photovoltaic innovation to the building industry. And I will explain a bit later about that. How did it start? We started, I forgot to mention that in an Horizon, FP7 project, then moved on to Horizon and energy matching and BIPV Boost. And the BIPV Boost project was aimed for cost reduction for building integrated photovoltaics. And it was very helpful because we managed to reduce the cost of the click-and-go mounting system we had developed. And we built a huge demonstration facade in the Netherlands, the biggest in the Netherlands, on an industrial building. And at the same time, we realized that the process of dealing with the building industry, which is very fragmented and highly diverse, was really, really inefficient and costing a lot of money to all the people involved. It has to do with characterization of fragmentation in an industry, and it has to do with the diversity, and it also has to do with BIPV. It's a product that's a building product. It needs to be very accurately mounted. It has aesthetic aspects, so it's not that you can cut while you're building the building integrated solution. While you're building, you say, okay, I just need 5 millimeter less or more. I'm going to change it while we are implementing. That's not possible. So you need to be early in the design process. We also developed intellectual property, and we filed several patents. The deployment prospects. Our goal is to make impact, and that means further development of a digital platform. And the digital platform is a new solution, and ensures that with the help of digitalization, important operational processes during new construction and renovation are improved. We talk about standardization, design tools, and the configurator, improved cooperation and communication, digitalization of processes, and automatic calculation of necessary calculations in the field of sustainable energy generation and circularity. The BIPV World platform ensures better right first time BIPV designs, faster turnaround times, and substantial cost savings throughout the entire supply chain. So we built a digital machine. It's very scalable, and it enables a quick rollout of technology, not only our own technologies, but we also invite colleagues in the industry with similar and also different solutions. And our aim in order to create impact is to develop webinars, online training programs, in cooperation with institutes we already very well know, thanks to the Horizon 2020 projects, like Fraunhofer, Subsea, Euroc, and Technalia. And our aim is to provide an efficient methodology, a method, a process, and a knowledge transfer to the building industry. And the building industry, they are difficult to reach. The people who make the decisions are a bit older, and building integrated and photovoltaics is still very new to them. They know solar panels, but building integrated, it's a little bit different. So we want to make sure it happens in the most efficient way. We want to do that together with technology institutes to spread the message to facade builders, to architects, to building companies, to infrastructure companies, that it can be done right first time if people use the right tools. Why is the Innovation Fund important and a suitable tool? Because we like to achieve radical innovation and impact. So, we need funding to improve the functionality of the BPV World platform and the Revit plugin, and we need to be able to disseminate the possibilities you can achieve with this platform. And the outcome is a very positive business case, because with the click and go mounting solutions, which was developed first, we can very easily convert traditional facades to energy generating facades, and those facades will deliver 35 to 35 euros per square meter in revenues. So the business case is fantastic. The problem is the cost to convey the possibilities of BRPV and to convey how it should be done to the market. That's very, very expensive. Currently, the platform is TRL 6 and 7. It's a proven concept. It works. We have a group of beta testers who are using the platform. We have functional APIs, and it works. But we need to reach out to architects and to construction companies to explain to them how it can be done and how they can offer a profitable BRPV facade to the real estate owners. And also the real estate owners, there is a very diversified group of people. So we have very good experience with the European technology institutes, and we want to provide webinars and online training to reach out to a broad audience of professionals. And that is where we need also part of the budget for the knowledge institutes. This is my presentation, and thank you for helping us to achieve the radical innovation for new build and renovation buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Now I give the floor to Lars Tom Pedersen to present of Salt Power. Lars, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. My name is Lars Tom Pedersen. I'm the CEO at Salt Power. And we're a small company situated in Denmark that is working with osmotic energy. Next slide, please. So overall, we've been funded by the Horizon 2020 program, the EIC SME instrument with a grant 95, 40, 45. And I think this has been a very beneficial program for us. First of all, when you apply for funding, you need to structure, you make a plan for what you want to achieve. But this is also specifically targeted at small to medium-sized enterprises, which I think are important in promoting new technology. I have a background from large companies, and after becoming the CEO of a small to medium-sized enterprise, I really understand why they can do things differently than larger company, and therefore it's very important that there are instruments for funding small companies also. So basically what we have developed is a technology to produce CO2-free energy from mixing salt and water. And this can both be salt that is mixed with water, or it could be a brine, a high saline brine that is mixed with water. So how is this possible? Basically, you can think of a reverse osmosis where you produce water is technology where you use energy. So somehow it must be possible to reverse it. And when you mix actually a low salinity with high salinity water, it must be possible to generate electricity or energy also. And this is what we do. So what is the main output achievement of this research innovation project? During this project, we've matured the technology. We've done a lot of experimental work on, we could say, a one-to-one scale facility. It's not a full-scale facility, but at least some of the elements are one-to-one scale. And we have built our first 100-kilowatt plant, and that is going to be commissioned 1st of March 23. So this is basically commercializing the top technology and scaling it up from a smaller scale to a bigger scale that we're doing with this project. I would also like to say that the EU has been very supportive also during the COVID period, and I would say afterwards we had issues with supply of material, which probably many have also experienced. And I think there was a reasonable good flexibility in EU, and I think that's important also for small companies that there's a certain flexibility. So this has been very great. Next slide, please. So what can it be used for? So there are actually an extreme amount of application it can be used for, but what we've been looking for is where can we generate enough value for customers that it also actually become a business case for them. What we have discovered and what we patented is that our technology is ideally suited for creating underground hydrogen storage in the salt formation, and it can also be used for purified salt from underground sources. So if we need to turn into a hydrogen society, it's quite probable that we need to store large amount of hydrogen. And the cheapest way is to store them in cavities underground in salt formations. So there'll have to be built many of them. And our technology can industrialize and make it much cheaper building these structures. So instead of using energy while building them, we can actually generate energy. It can also be used on a global scale for all the salt that is produced, 100 million tons of salt, maybe even 200 million, where we can apply this technology directly. So instead of using energy with the production of salt, we can actually generate energy. So this is two markets where the salt production is one market, and the very large market is, of course, if underground hydrogen storage is really moving. It is well known to build underground salt storages. It's been done for petroleum, it's been done for natural gas, but in the past it has just been, you could say, used energy instead of making energy while building these structures. The first part will be commissioned 1st of March, and that is at Nobian, salt production facility in Denmark, yes, and then we will operate it there. The potential of the technology is also to scale up, and we expect probably next size will be around a megawatt size of our plant. So there are synergies, economy of scale for part of the plant scaling up. So it's important that we also get the next scale up that will both reduce cost and that will also increase efficiency of the whole plant. So there are several benefits. And then, of course, we are on a learning curve as any other company scaling up technology. That, of course, learning curve by itself almost means that you'll be able to reduce costs in the future. But further maturing the technology to TRL9, it requires optimization, and it also requires further funding that we go there. But we think we are on a good path to deploying the technology commercially now. Next slide, please. So we have good experience with cooperation under the Horizon 2020 project. We've had good cooperation with the people that has supervised the project and follow up the project management. We've had delays, and as I said, there was a flexibility in the Horizon project, which was important because not everything was under our control. And the next step for us is the technology development will go faster with funding as it can lower the barrier for new customers. So what we're looking for are a larger scale, you could say, application. But since we don't have long-term operation data, there's still some concern at customers about what is the long-term effect, what can be guaranteed. So any sort of lowering of the capex is very important for moving the technology forward the next years. And upscaling industrialization of the technology will help to drive down cost and bring more CO2-free energy to the market. There's really a big potential in osmotic energy. It's not like we will reduce all CO2 with this technology where we are now, but it has a much bigger potential than where we are now. Next slide, please. So basically, we offer a unique technology which has remained unknown to a large part of the industry. Main challenge is to demonstrate the solution is robust and deliver the promised long-term performance and acceptable OPEX. So this is the next phase we're going into. And at the same time, we will also work on making things cheaper and also optimizing performance on part of the plant. The optimal way to overcome that is simply demonstrate operation in large-scale installation and reduce capex of the first new installations. And basically, you could say osmotic energy is a new chapter in the history of energy production. So solar and wind and other technologies are well known, but this is simply a new way. It doesn't replace anything. It just adds up on top of what is existing. And this is what is really exciting about this, that it's basically a whole new chapter we are opening here. Next slide, please. So that was my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lars. Now I'm calling for the last pitches. So from Ocean to G. So please, Rodrigo, the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me so well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to explain the results and the new prospect of our project. My name is Rodrigo San. I am R&D manager of Magallanes Renovables. We are a small and medium enterprise in the northwest of Spain, in the Galicia region, and we are focused into the production of platforms for tidal energy resource. Okay, this is more or less our idea from the last 20 years. We start with several research projects, and now we are in the last stage of development of our technology, and the idea is try to put into the market the first array of the first farm of this platform. And we understand that one of the priorities that we need to define and what of the costs that we need to search so well is the innovation fund, because it's one of the costs that can help technology like us in order to enter into the market at level of renewable energies. Next slide, please. Well, the project is under the fast track to innovation call in Horizon 2020. Okay, is focused into the demonstration of the first commercial scale platform in tidal energy. The project is around 4 partners, 2 partners of UK, European Marine Energy Center and Lease Marine, 1 partner from France, EM Future Renewables, and Magallanes Renovables as a coordinator. The project was financed with around 2 million euros, okay, and the solution deployed in the project was a full-site tidal energy prototype system. This is very important to understand that in the previous project, last 15 years, we developed all the design, all the different aspects that we need to accomplish well with the platform. And the idea for this fast track to innovation and the leitmotif of this call of projects was to prove in real environment the solution. In this case, solution of our tidal energy. At the end of the project, the main achievement that we or the main goals that we accomplished was the operational performance of a grid connected full scale. We generate around 100 megawatts hours in the testing in IMEC in Scotland. The platform was approved as a 1.5 megawatts turbines. Okay, obviously we define the next step for the business strategy and how we can enter into the market of renewable energy source. And we at the end of the project we start the competition with different potential customer and utilities in order to move this technology from this last stage of development onto the real solution in the market. Next slide, please. Well, this was the result of the project. Now, obviously, we need to increase, or we need to work on different activities that can put our technology, or the technology, or tidal technology, into the market in the next years as a reality and not as a dream. Obviously, we are focused into the production of these type of platforms. We need to demonstrate that we can deploy a farm of these type of platforms and produce high amount of energy. And for develop this, obviously, we need to increase, or we need to define, or we need to start with the supply chain industry a level of this new tidal resource. Obviously, one of the most important things that we learned in our project is the reduction in the cost of manufacturing. Now is a complex situation because the price of steel and the price of energy is so high, and we are trying to manage so well these activities in order to try to reduce all these costs for the platform production. And one of the things that is maybe a lot of interesting for this type of new energy projects is a tariff and the conversation with the different governments in order to promote, first of all, a tariff, and secondly, a regulation regarding to this type of new energy source. Always, I mentioned that we are at the same level that offshore energy 15 years ago, and now we are a promise new energy technology, but we need to move into the market in the next years in order to include our source of energy production into the mix 2030. This is the idea that we have, but obviously we need the support of different public bodies, and specific regulation is one of the most important things in Europe and in other locations around the world, because there are huge potential for increase the energy production with this type of source. Next slide, please. Regarding to innovation fund support, what is the next level of development of our solution? As mentioned previously, we are in TLL maybe 7H. We prove our technology, our platform in real environment. Obviously, we need to develop several activities that require a lot of investment regarding to, for example, more development of the technology, or improve different parts of the technology like blades, pitch, etc. Obviously, one of the main criteria in order that put this new energy as a competitive energy source is the reduction of LCOE. Is mandatory for us to try to stay in the same values that all the type of renewable energy system. If not, we are not competitive, and it's not suitable to put our technology in this energetic mix in the next years. There are no certification procedures at level of tidal energy at this moment. We are using now the offshore certification, but we need to define, and we need to create this certification. And obviously, with all these previous activities, we need to increase the attraction of investors for this type of technology. That means that with innovation fund call or proposal fund, we can deploy the first tidal park. That means that we can demonstrate that the technology is ready for the market now, and we can attract more investment, more investor, and more off-takers. That is one of the reasons that we try to apply for this innovation fund call. And we understand that will be a good opportunity in order to complete the previous development from fast-track to innovation until the market approach. Complementing this, obviously, we need to define a lot of relation in order to introduce the technology into the existing market, and we can put money for this from the innovation fund will be maybe a good idea, and obviously define the industrialization plan for the platforms and for the equipments that are involved. As mentioned previously, obviously we need to reduce the cost of production of technology, and this will be very useful if we get funds from the innovation fund call. Next slide, please. The main challenge in bringing the technology developed in Ocean 2G project to commercial scale by the innovation fund, we have identified these 5 specific areas: sale and design, manufacturing platform assembly, turnkey project design installation, operation and control, very important for us, and obviously the maintenance. These, from our point of view, are the main 5 areas that we need to include in a development of this tidal park project with maybe the support of innovation fund, and including obviously private funds that we are defining at this moment. The final question is try to help the energy mix 2030. We can use existing calls from the European Commission, and one of our priorities innovation fund, in order to transform the results of Ocean 2G project into a real market solution for the energy production in the next 5-10 years. The question is that in Europe and UK and the rest of the world, we have a huge potential of energy production with this type of system, and we need to increase our final technology development in order to include the tidal energy production technology into the energetic mix in order to help Europe and help the countries with this to reduce the cost of the energy. This is more or less the final idea, and obviously we try to manage an innovation fund call for the next years in order to increase the size of our technology and increase the potential of the tidal energy. This is all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pedro. And thank you for the 3 speakers. I think to present sort of quite very interesting sort of new technologies. Now the floor is sort of for the Q&A and question from Slido. I'm just looking at if we have questions.
Maybe we can. Oops.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, we found a solution. Maybe we can hear some feedback from the Innovation Fund team representatives. Yes, in terms of the deployment prospects that were presented, some initial thoughts, perhaps? Yes, I see Roxana.
Hi. There's no echo for me, or there is? No. So thank you very much for the presentations. It was indeed very interesting to see what is coming out of the Horizon program. I am impressed personally to start with that. I'm just wondering what kind of feedback are there specific questions that we might address, or it's more of a general comment on each project?
Maybe we can do some general comments, and then also this is an opportunity for the projects also to ask you questions from the Innovation Fund team, so we can have a bit of a dialogue.
Yeah, so for the first project on the BPV panels, I mean, the prospect would be great if you would have now target now the manufacturing of building integrated photovoltaics. From the understanding we had from the presentation, it's like more the application of the BAPV to buildings, and I wanted just to underline that with the revision of the ETS directive, the emissions trading system from where the Innovation Fund money is actually coming, the building sector will actually be added to the Innovation Fund starting with next year. So the prospects will be much clearer then, and also the eligibility criteria for such solutions. For the second project, yeah, what to say? It's indeed, as the project promoter said, the technology in itself, it's quite promising, and we just hope to see it at larger scale. And the same comment I would have for the ocean energy project, the tidal wave project. I don't know, Mathieu?
Thanks a lot, Roxana, and thanks also for the presentation. Very interesting for the three projects. If to come back to the third one, I would say that actually looking at the last slide that you presented, there are many different points where you consider the interest of the Innovation Fund to support, and actually there are different possibilities for this because you can whether consider implementing this technology using the Innovation Fund, but you could also think about using the Innovation Fund for the manufacturing and developing the manufacturing part of the project. That's also a possibility. For the second project, I think here, yes, the Innovation Fund should be interesting also to consider the possibility to go for this 1 megawatt plant. This could be of interest, I think. And for the first one, yes, I'm supporting Roxana on the thought that needs to be developed if you are considering to use the Innovation Fund for particular technological solutions for the manufacturing of these solutions, or if there is another idea. So that's for me at the moment the remarks and feedback I would give to the presenters.
Thank you. Maybe a first reaction from from each of the projects from this comment, and then we take the question that we have on Slido. Yes, Paul, please go ahead.
Thank you for your feedback. We have a manufacturing operation, so we know about manufacturing, but we don't think that the challenge is in the manufacturing aspect. In our case, assembly. And there is also another shortage of solar panels, and there's no shortage on building integrated panels. So the issue is not to be more efficient on manufacturing. And actually, for that purpose, we cooperate with many European suppliers of glass solar panels. who are very willing to supply this product to us to be combined with the click and go system. But the real issue is that the process, the going to market process, and the structure of the building industry is giving a headache for all involved in Europe in building integration to reach economies of scale. So as a result of the European Horizon 2020 programs, and as a result of the cooperation with all the partners, we found out that some other aspects might be or are much more costly and need much more improvement than having more efficient production. It's the process around it. So, like we say, the cost of talking and explaining about BRPV is costing the whole industry more money than the solar panels itself. So that's also the aspect I wanted to bring forward to the Innovation Fund. That maybe when you're dealing with innovation and you come to new findings and maybe they are not fitting exactly in what was intended for the Innovation Fund, like building a huge factory for building integrated panels. Actually, that's being done already without subsidy. But the issue is how to bring these solutions to a fragmented and highly diverse market. That's my feedback to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
We see that Rodrigo wants to intervene also. Please, Rodrigo.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for the feedback. I think it's very useful for our planning for the next year. We are now in two different scenarios. The first one, I agree with you, that will be a manufacturing plant for this type of technology will be a good idea. Okay. The question is that at this moment, as you know so well, there are any other opportunity in Horizon Europe regarding to the first tidal farm, and I will try to define so well what are the scope of this project and try to complement with the innovation fund call. The question is that in Europe there are huge potential for this type of resource, but there are not a lot of location that we can put the platforms, okay, and that will be a limitation in order to define what is the best strategy in order to move to Innovation Fund or try to complement the Horizon Europe program with part of the Innovation Fund, talking about manufacturing plant or talking about the first commercial tidal farm or tidal array. Okay, this is the thing that we are now in our mind. We're in discussion with North Ireland, with that in discussion with France, in order to how is the best option in order to define the strategy for the next years. And regarding to the question of the Slido, at this moment we are talking with several customers in Europe, but we start now conversation in Chile, in Taiwan, in Korea, in Japan, Philippines. There are a lot of interest in several locations across the world, but we need to finalize all the strategy for put a real industrialization plan for the construction of the platform and include all the different activities like mooring, cable, etc., in order that we really have a commercial solution.
Thank you, Rodrigo. I think Lars wants to also intervene. Please, Lars, go ahead.
Yes, first of all, thanks a lot for the comments. I think from our side, there's a significant interest from potential customers. We also had to focus on where we would look for customers. So basically, we made a footprint that's Europe and US, basically, and there are other places that are also interesting, but we simply had to limit it, not to go to make things too big. And we're in a phase where we're very close working with the customers. We have a pipeline, sales pipeline we work with, and we work closely with customers to understand their needs so that we make sure the solution we make is optimal for them also. So I'd say we're at the point where it's very important the customer interaction, and it's important scaling up, and it's important support, I think, mainly for the capital expenditure for the customer while they're applying the technology.
Thank you, Lars. So I think you answer the question that we are seeing. And I think the two other speakers also have. Okay, Paul, please go ahead.
We also have experienced a lot of interest from customers, but we are an SME organization, and we cannot cope with the demand based with our current organization. There are just not enough specialists in the Netherlands and also not in Europe to educate the very fragmented and highly diverse building industry. So that's exactly the reason why we built a digital platform to deal with it. So there is demand, but we talked to a lot of potential customers, but the cost to serve in a traditional way for SMEs to serve a wide industry, it's quite difficult.
Thank you. Now we have sort of the next question on value chain. I think, Rodrigo, you want to intervene on?
Yes, thank you. I think it's a good question because in our point of view, from our point of view, our solution, we have two different priorities. The first one is try to promote in Europe all the different construction of platform, installation of equipment, etc., and then move the platform to the final location. This is our idea. We try to include or to try to promote a technological hub for this type of new energy solution in Europe. Obviously, we have a lot of potential outside of Europe that we need to take this in our mind. But the question is try to promote all the different activities that we can do in Europe. This is our idea, and we are working on this. All of our providers are from Europe at this moment, and this is one of the things that we need to conserve in the upcoming years when we define all the different industrial process design. This is one of things that we need to show you. And regarding to the regulatory, obviously we need more regulatory access in Europe because there are no, in our case, in a specific regulation for tidal energy. There are no tariff in most of the countries of Europe. We are only have this first step of regulation in UK, part in France, and the first step in the whole in Netherlands. But the question is, we try to increase the part of regulatory activities from the European Commission, maybe in the European Parliament, in order to define the best regulation for the tidal, maybe wave or maybe floating PV energy. This is more or less the question that we need to solve in the upcoming years.
You were muted.
Yes.
Thank you. I was muted. Yeah, I saw that Paul had his hand on still. So you want to contribute to one of those questions? Or?
Yes. So first of all, I would say about value chain development for projects in Europe. We'll look at sourcing most of it from Europe. And I think also we made some learnings during COVID and all the shipping freight suddenly that they skyrocketed. And that also makes it important if you look at cost for production of a plant that you can source it locally. And it was basically a period it was almost impossible getting freight also. So that's also a risk that if that happens again or something similar, that if it's far away, it's difficult supplying on a deadline for a customer. So I think definitely a lot of the value chain will stay in Europe, and it's probably going to be fragmented around Europe because there are hubs of certain things that we need to buy technology from. So it's going to be all over Europe, and some of it will probably be locally sourced from where the plant is installed, so construction and installation of the final things. And then about regulatory legislative issues, hurdles. Part of our technology, basically, there is no change in what's going on in the producers. So we have no new streams or anything. We simply integrate into their process and make more energy. But as with any energy technology, depending on how it's applied and how what it's used for, there will be regulatory legislative hurdles to deploy. That's my experience. There's always something with the regulatory framework. So of course we will also probably experience that in the future.
Okay, thank you, Lars. Paul has a little problem of connection, so we'll move to Roxana. Please, Roxana.
Yes, actually, I wanted to reply to Paul, but I will wait a little bit. And in the meantime, I wanted to ask all the participants. I mean, it would be interesting for us to know how large would you see your innovation fund projects, small scale, large scale, mid scale, in terms of capex? What capex range do you intend to, or if you have an idea? I know that it might be too early.
Yes, from our point of view, from Magallanes, we are thinking in two different options, but all of them are focusing to large scale goal. Okay, I don't know if we're talking about mid or large scale, because depend of if we're talking about manufacturing or if we're talking about the first commercial tidal farm. Okay, but more or less we are talking between maybe 30 until 60 million euros of capex. This is more or less the idea.
Yeah, I think we're mid to large scale probably for the 1 megawatt plant in that range.
Thank you.
Thank you. Has Lars managed to join us again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Yes.
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, you didn't hear. So basically, I think our size will be mid to a large scale for salt power. So that's probably the range we need to go into with a 1 megawatt plant we're looking into.
I think, Philippe, you wanted to mention Paul. You were asking if Paul came back.
Sorry, yes, my my mistake. Yeah, Paul, are you back? I think he's coming back. Paul?
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
So you can answer the questions.
I lost you for a minute. I'm sorry. Can you put up the questions again?
The question was on the value chain. So how much of the value chain will stay in Europe? And the second question was on regulatory aspect that you may.
Our whole value chain is in Europe, and we intend to keep it like that. And with regulatory issues, there's a lot of regulations with regard to building regulations in the various countries, and there are a lot of regulations with regarding feeding power, electrical, or renewable energy back to the grid. So in every country that is different, and that also again is a complicating factor to achieve scalability in this industry.
May I reply now to Paul before? So Paul, if I understood well, you wanted to present to the Innovation Fund the problem that addressing the market, the building and construction markets with your solution, that's your challenge now. And just to clarify that, for the Innovation Fund, we expect a ready business plan and a ready market strategy. And my colleague Quentin can really tell you all the details under financial maturity. Practically, we expect that you already have even off-takers in order to show the maturity of your solution. So I don't think that funding from the Innovation Fund it's going to target your efforts to contact the market, if I have to put it like that. So just to avoid any confusion on what you are expecting from the Innovation Fund.
Yeah. Then I'm glad I'm participating in this session. Yeah, I have nothing else to explain than my 12-year experience in this industry. Our regular contacts with all our partners, including customers, including facade builders, and the facade building companies. They know a lot about building facades, but not about building integrated solar with rules and all the technical aspects. And that's where we try to help them. So we have this cooperation with leading facade building companies. But yeah, as it turned out for us as an SME, we are basically constantly transferring knowledge and transferring know-how and to all the architects and people who make the designs. And the architects are our target groups because the building integrated products have to be introduced right from the start, from the design. And so I'm just explaining this is our biggest challenge. And if in Europe we want to decarbonize our industries, and if we want to decarbonize fossil fuels and buildings, then we need more local energy generation. And we've been active in all aspects of the whole chain, including project implementation and connecting to the grid and financing and that's not a problem. It's just a problem of we are a small company. We cannot, if we don't have digital solutions, then we can never reach the whole of Europe. And now with our solution, an Italian architect can design a building for France or for Germany, and it can be locally assembled, prefab produced, and transported to the building site and installed by local people in a very efficient way. So I see no other solution than to do it like this. So if the Innovation Fund is about building bigger, cost-efficient factories, then I must politely say that might be true for a lot of industries, but to be honest, not in our case, because we have the partners to supply the products. There's not a shortage of solar panels, also not in Europe. It's the problem of application.
Okay, just one issue there, because okay, maybe you sound quite pessimistic now, but you know that in the EU there is a regulation that businesses will have to install solar panels starting with 2035. But Philippe would know better all these regulations from. So practically, through the top-down regulatory approach, businesses will be obliged to look into this at some point. So don't be pessimistic. I think it's coming.
I'm not pessimistic, but if your goal as an SME is to make impact, then you look for the most efficient way to make impact. Basically, that's a specific request from all the Horizon funding. How are you going to make impact? And what I notice now is I provide feedback about how to make impact. And basically the answer I get is, yeah, they just don't fit in our Innovation Fund. And the innovation, part of the innovation, what we have done is the click-and-go mounting system and the digital solutions. So that is my feedback to the Innovation Fund.
Sorry, Roxanne. I think we have to wrap up the session. I think it's a good discussion. I think I understand of Paul also, and but I think thank you for the good contribution, for the good presentation also for your projects, and we'll see how we can sort of contribute more. So now we are back to the plenary session, and thank you all for the discussion. Bye.
Thank you
I
so
just
much.
added some links, if you want, related to the Innovation Fund. So if you want to know a little bit about it for your projects, and because what you presented was very interesting, and I think it would be valuable for the large scale call that will with the deadline in mid-March. So do not hesitate. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. Bye.